Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today's video is all about Atlantic Immigration Program. The Atlantic Immigration Program is a pathway to permanent residence for skilled foreign workers and international graduates from a Canadian institution who want to work and live in one of Canada's 4 Atlantic provinces: New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, or Newfoundland and Labrador. The program helps employers hire qualified candidates for jobs they haven't been able to fill locally. In this video we will be taking about 8 important points. How you can take part in the program. Who can apply? Get a job offer. Get your documents ready. Apply for permanent residence. Apply for a temporary work permit, optional. After you apply, if your application is approved. 1. How you can take part in the program. The Atlantic Immigration Program, AIP, is a pathway to permanent residence for skilled foreign workers and international graduates who want to work and live in one of Canada's 4 Atlantic provinces. This is an employer-driven program designed to help employers in Atlantic Canada hire qualified candidates for jobs they have been unable to fill locally. You must receive a job offer from a designated employer in Atlantic Canada to participate in the program. To immigrate to Atlantic Canada through this program, you must be either a recent graduate of a recognized post-secondary institution in Atlantic Canada, or a skilled worker. You can be living abroad or already be in Canada as a temporary resident. 2. Who can apply? To be eligible for the Atlantic Immigration Program, you must have qualifying work experience, unless you're an international graduate of a recognized post-secondary institution in Atlantic Canada. Meet or exceed the educational requirements. Meet or exceed the language requirements. Show that you have enough money to support yourself and your family when you get to Canada. If you're already living and working in Canada with a valid work permit, you don't need to show proof. If you meet all of these requirements, you can start looking for a job with a designated Atlantic employer. Work experience. In the last 5 years, you must have worked at least 1,560 hours. This is the number of hours you would have worked in 1 year if you were working 30 hours per week. To calculate your hours, count hours worked in part-time and full-time jobs. Count only paid hours of work. Volunteering or unpaid internships don't count. Don't count hours when you were self-employed. Count hours worked inside or outside Canada. You must have been legally authorized to work in Canada as a temporary resident. Count hours that were accumulated over a period of at least 12 months. Count work experience acquired while studying, as long as the work hours don't exceed what was authorized. This work should be at one of these National Occupational Classification, NOC, 2021 Training, Education, Experience and Responsibilities, Tier, categories. Tier 0. Management jobs such as restaurant managers or mine managers. Tier 1. Professional jobs that usually need a degree from a university, such as doctors, dentists or architects. Tier 2. Technical jobs and skilled trades requiring at least 2 years of college or apprenticeship, or occupations with supervisory or safety responsibilities such as police officers and firefighters. Tier 3. Technical jobs and skilled trades requiring less than 2 years of college or apprenticeship, or more than 6 months of on-the-job training. Tier 4. Intermediate jobs that usually call for high school and or several weeks of job-specific training, such as industrial butchers, long-haul truck drivers, or food and beverage servers. Your work experience must include the actions in the description of your NOC. Most of the main duties of your NOC. International graduates. You do not need to meet the work experience requirements if you're an international graduate who has a degree, diploma, certificate, or trade or apprenticeship certification that took at least 2 years of studies. Is from a recognized post-secondary institution in one of the 4 Atlantic provinces: New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, or Newfoundland and Labrador. Was a full-time student for the entire time you were studying. Lived in one of the following provinces for at least 16 months during the last 2 years before you graduated: New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland and Labrador, or Prince Edward Island. Had the visa or permit you needed to work, study or get training while you were in Canada. Educational requirements. You must have one of these. If you have a job offer at the NOC 2021 Tier 0 or 1 category, you must have a Canadian 1-year post-secondary educational credential or higher, or the equivalent from outside Canada. If you have a job offer at the NOC 2021 Tier 2, 3 or 4 category, you must have a Canadian high school diploma, or the equivalent from outside Canada. However, if you studied outside Canada, you need an Educational Credential Assessment, ECA, to confirm that your studies are equal to or higher than the required level of education for your job offer. Your ECA report must be less than 5 years old on the date we receive your application. Language requirements. You must meet the minimum language requirements based on the NOC 2021 tier category that applies to your job offer. The minimum language requirements for each NOC 2021 tier category are CLB, NCLC 5 for Tier 0, 1, 2, or 3. CLB, NCLC 4 for Tier 4. You must submit your results from a designated language testing organization with your application. These results must be less than 2 years old when you apply. Find out more about language testing. Settlement funds. You need to have enough money to support yourself and your family when you get to Canada. The amount you need depends on the size of your family. The size of your family also includes anyone you support who isn't immigrating with you. Learn how much money you should have when you arrive in Canada. If you're already living and working in Canada with a valid work permit, you don't need to show proof of funds. 3. Get a job offer. You'll need to seek job opportunities with designated employers. For more information, check the provincial websites: New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island. The job offer must meet all of these requirements. The job offer must be full-time. The job offer must be non-seasonal. In general, this means you have consistent and regularly scheduled paid employment throughout the year. For NOC 2021 Tier 0, 1, 2, or 3 category job offers, the employer must be offering you a job that will last at least 1 year from the time you become a permanent resident. For NOC 2021 Tier 4 category job offers, the employer must be offering you permanent employment. That is, there is no set end date. The job offer cannot come from a company where you or your spouse or common law partner are a majority owner. The job must be at the same skill level as, or higher than, the work experience that qualified you for the job, unless you're an international graduate from a recognized post-secondary institution in Atlantic Canada. For certain healthcare sector jobs, you don't need to have a job offer at the same skill level as, or higher than, the qualifying work experience. Work experience in NOC 32101 and NOC 31301 can be used as qualifying work experience if you have a job offer in NOC 33102, nurse aides, orderlies and patient service associates, or NOC 44101, home healthcare workers. You must make sure you meet the employment requirements listed in the National Occupational Classification. Sign the form titled Offer of Employment to a Foreign National and keep a copy for your records. You'll need this form when you work with a service provider organization on your settlement plan and for your permanent residence application. 4. Get your documents ready. Language test. You must take a language test and send the results with your application. You must do this even if you studied in Canada. Learn about language testing for the Atlantic Immigration Program. Educational Credential Assessment. If you studied outside Canada, you need an Educational Credential Assessment, ECA, report. This report shows how your education compares to a Canadian one. Proof of funds. When you arrive in Canada, you need enough money to support yourself and your family. Find out how much money you should have when you arrive in Canada. If you're already living and working in Canada with a valid work permit, you don't need to show proof of funds. Get a settlement plan. After you get a job offer from a designated employer, you need to get a settlement plan. A settlement plan will help you and your family adjust to your new home in Atlantic Canada. It will provide you with useful resources and contacts to help you feel welcome in your new community. These plans are free. If you're already in Canada, You must work with a settlement service provider organization in the region where you'll be working. Your designated employer can help you find one. If you're outside Canada, there are several settlement service provider organizations in Canada that you can contact. Check with your designated employer for recommendations. If you prefer French as your official language, there are francophone organizations that can help you. 5. Apply for permanent residence. Step 1. Get ready to apply online. Step 2. Fill out your forms. You must fill out these digital forms online. Step 3. Pay your fees online minus $1,365. Step 4. Submit your application. 6. Apply for a temporary work permit. If this is the first time you're applying under the Atlantic Immigration Program, your application must include all of the following: a job offer number. See employer portal for details. Your referral letter from the Atlantic province where you'll be working. Your signed IMMO 156 form, PDF, 254 kilobytes, undertaking for an application for a work permit exempted from a labor market impact assessment, LMIA, as part of the Atlantic Immigration Program. 7. After you apply, we review your application. Keep your information up to date. Get your fingerprints and photo taken. 8. If your application is approved. If they approve your application, we'll send you a confirmation of permanent residence, COPR. Permanent resident visa, if you're from a country that requires a visa. Your COPR has information about who you are, as well as your photo. Check to make sure your information is correct. It should be the same as the information on your passport. If you're outside Canada when you arrive in Canada, you must have your valid passport and/or travel documents. Your passport must be a regular, private citizen passport. You can't immigrate to Canada with a diplomatic, government service or public affairs passport. Show proof that you have the funds to support yourself and your family after you arrive in Canada. You don't need to apply for your first PR card. While you wait for your PR card, you can use your signed COPR to prove that you're a permanent resident in Canada. And that's a wrap on today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.